Welcome to the Midtown Madness NIT and WNIT special. We're going to break down the bracket on the men's side and see what the Billikens are going to need to do to bring home the NIT championship. And on the women's side, we're going to look at their draw and many underlying stories in their first round matchup. But first, we have a special guest. If you're watching on YouTube, you already know who it is. He played in the Billikens' last NIT appearance, and in their first round game against Iowa, hit one of the more famous shots in Billiken history. Our good friend Anthony Drejaj joins us. Ant, how we doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Oh, hanging in there. Excited for Friday, just to have another game.
That's right. Another postseason game is the way to go, man. Better than being home.
You've been keeping up with the squad this season?
Just following here and there. I know I was following them, and then they went on pause, and then I was wondering what the hell happened. I didn't know they were on pause because I really didn't read anything, but I seen that they had they were 7-1 or at some point, something like that, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Then they got on a pause, and then I kind of lost track of them.
Well, the thing is when the Billikens, when they ended the season with a loss to Bonaventure, we kind of had to wait on the bubble. And I think you had kind of a familiar situation while you were at SLU. You guys were waiting to see how the bubble shook out, and unfortunately you also didn't get the call on Selection Sunday for the big dance. What was it like as a player to kind of go through that bubble process and the disappointment on Selection Sunday that maybe the Billikens are feeling now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's terrible, obviously. It's heartbreaking. Everybody dies to play in the NCAA tournament. Everybody wants to play in it, from, the coach to the players to the managers to the fans. Everybody wants to go to the dance. That's what we all play for, But we were being talked about. I think it was my freshman year. I don't know, Pete, you might have to help me out.
Yeah, so your freshman year was the one where we were having a rough year, and then we beat Louisville when they were number 2.
Started us.
Yeah, and then we won 8 in a row. Into the conference tournament, lost in the, I think, second round of the conference tournament.
Yeah, we lost it. Well, no. We lost in the semifinals because we got the bye.
Okay.
We beat Ole Miss. The only reason why I know this is because I had my career game versus Ole Miss that year.
It was Southern Miss.
Southern Miss, not Ole Miss.
And then we lost to UAB.
Then we lost to UAB by 2 or 4.
By one.
Oh, there you go. Marquis had an elbow jumper, kind of slipped at the end.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best shot, but we got off a shot, and we just couldn't get it in.
Right.
If we would beat them, I believe that we had a really good chance of getting it because we would have won 9 out of the last 10 or 10 out of 10 if we won a championship.
Right.
We definitely got in.
I may have skipped over something for our audience. If people have been following, Peter was a manager for the men's basketball team, and your guys' academic time, overlapped.
Academic.
Yeah. Well,
we overlapped by 3 years. So he came in my sophomore year, and then my senior year was that rough 2004-2005 season.
Yeah, we were on.
Yeah, that was the last season in Conference USA. And then Dre played in the first year in the A-10. And that was his year.
The A-10, when we went there, quick story, I know this might be a little off, but we were picked 12 out of 14 teams. We picked 12 in the league. I remember holding a meeting in a locker room. I don't know if you were there, Pete. And I talked to
I was gone by then.
Okay, so yeah, you were gone. I remember talking to the team, and I told them we're picked 12, this, that, and the other. And I said, where do you guys want to go? What do you guys want to do? You want to believe this BS, or do you guys want to make a statement? Because we're coming for Conference USA, which is essentially right now the Big East,
Right.
So I'm like, there's no way we can't walk into this conference and be pretty dominant, because I've seen the A-10. Now, no knock on the A-10, because the A-10 has grown into a bigger conference now.
Yeah.
But I said, I want to be top 1, 2, or 3. I think we could get a tournament bid out of that. We finished 3rd in the goddamn league that year.
Yeah, you guys were great. It was a kind of spotty non-conference schedule, but in the A-10,
we went pretty good.
You were great. And then the only losses you had, you lost to Dayton twice by 2 each time.
Right.
You beat Xavier twice. I mean,
twice, and they were good that year. It wasn't like
they were
struggling. They were a very good team in the A-10.
Lost to GW in overtime. That was a ranked team.
And they had a ranked team.
Yeah, yeah. So that was a solid season.
You know, and St. Joe's beat us. They were very good.
Uh-huh.
We beat Temple. They were very good. I mean, that league was strong at the time too, but I just felt like we had it coming out of Conference USA.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I thought we were just a little more built for a bigger conference.
That was that weird year where you guys started out at the first 19 games of the year. You won, lost, like kept switching back and forth. No streaks for the first 19 games, and then you wound up winning like 7 of the last 10 in the A10.
Yep.
So
yeah,
that was
that was a 21 season for us, I think.
Let me see.
18.
Yeah, 16 and 13.
That was we had a 21 season in my junior year.
Yeah, your sophomore year, actually, I think. Well, let me go back.
Yeah, no, sophomore year because we went to the NIT sophomore year.
Yeah, that was it. Well, 19 and 13. I don't know, man.
So we'll get back to the NIT, NCAA. You know, you obviously it's heartbreaking. What does Soderberg sit down and talk to you guys about? You know, when you don't get picked for the NCAA and you find out that the NIT has invited you.
I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say I remember any specific conversation, but I do remember just being happy to be playing in a postseason. Obviously, we knew it was a long shot to get into the NCAA tournament with that first year, even though we beat like 4 ranked teams in the last 8 games in an 8-game win streak that we had, being number 2 Louisville, Cincinnati, who had one of the longest win streaks at home going. You know, Memphis, and somebody else that we winded up beating. But, you know, so we knew it was a long shot, and we knew we had to probably get to the finals to probably have a chance at really getting in. Once we lost in the semifinals, I think everybody kind of knew our shot was gone. But they still mentioned us in the bubble, you know. I remember that. But we thought we had a really good chance at trying to make it to the Garden. You know, playing at NIT. And honestly, I think everybody that joins the NIT, playing at the Garden is like enough to get you there. Never mind playing for a championship, you know, especially for me personally, is because I grew up watching the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, you know, grew up watching that. I think it's maybe more of an East Coast thing.
No, I mean, you have what was it? The 6 overtime game.
I was at that game.
That was just insane.
I was at that game. Syracuse versus UConn and is it Devendorf?
Devendorf, yep.
I remember because I was at it, and you know, that always made me want to play at the Garden. Obviously, I didn't play in the Big East, playing Conference USA, but we had a chance to get to the Garden, so it was a little extra for me to want to get there. You know.
Yeah, the thing I remember about that waiting is, you know, like you said, we were kind of a long shot on the bubble. And if you look at that schedule, if we kind of flipped it, you know, Soderberg was a new coach that year. So if we had a rough start, like we lost a couple games.
Too.
Like Tennessee Martin and
SMS.
Yeah, that's right. And if you flip those two, yep. I think that's a different result.
I think that's exactly what I say to this day.
This all sounds so familiar. This all sounds so familiar to this year. It's absurd.
Yeah, but the thing I do remember, you know, we didn't get called, but it was pretty exciting because in short order, they did give us a home game in the NIT, which was cool. I mean, Minnesota, I think, was supposed to be a better team that year.
Minnesota was way good. They had that kid Rick Ricker who was nasty.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I mean. I remember the Iowa game. The Iowa game is what will always stick with me. I mean, you know, just the oddness of playing at the Family Arena, the swarm court on the floor, like. And
we got screwed out of that NIT, man. We could have made a deeper run in that NIT.
Go on, let's hear it.
Because, you know, we were supposed to get the home game.
The second round.
Yeah.
Against Notre Dame. Yeah.
We could not find a gym, and the closest gym that we could find happened to be in Indiana. Like, how the hell does that happen? I'd rather go to Kansas City to go play them than freaking Indiana. How the hell did that work? I have no clue. I would love to know who scheduled that game and said that was our home game.
Yeah, we got screwed in that one.
That right? Do you agree, Pete?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and that it was a bad luck game over and over because
And they didn't really beat us like that.
no, I mean they beat us because Chris Thomas went off and he
Yeah,
couldn't miss. And that was one of those games like, Fisher played perfect defense every night. Like
he's
that
a
dude was
good player.
relentless. Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't like him having a bad game. Chris Thomas was hitting like fadeaway 30-footers.
He's like every day he threw up.
Yeah, that's the only reason we lost that game.
What was
That
that?
and
You
having
remember the score on that?
Let me pull it up. That was I have this season, or I had the previous year up for that Minnesota game, but this one, Notre Dame won by 11, 77-66.
But I think it got stretched out at the end. It was pretty close. And
Yeah, they hit some free throws late.
Yeah, right. We were within like 6, 7, 8 points, but we just could never. They kind of had us at bay. They were comfortable, and we just could never crack it to make a threat.
So we got into the venue a little bit concerning that second round game. How would you fare in a bubble atmosphere going down to Texas and just kind of like staying there and playing the games?
I coach high school basketball, right? So I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to expect as far as the intensity. I didn't know the focus, looking into the stands and seeing nobody. Honestly, it does not matter. You're going to throw the ball up, and it does not matter if there's 100,000 people there or nobody there. The intensity and the focus of the game is just enough. Obviously, the emotions and playing off for the adrenaline and, waving to the fans, that gets into it. But I don't see that being a big difference. I just think that you got to execute your game plan. At the end of the day, it's your guys versus theirs. Fanfare, it does help, when the fans start going crazy. It does help you, swing your game if you're not, dig you out of some rut and stuff like that. But, I think maybe the better teams, though, or it's just like anything, though. The March Madness is crazy. The hot team is going to get you. If they hit their stride, doesn't matter what team you are. If you caught the team that hits their stride, you're done deal.
What about the aspect, like this season they've got to play – they're playing the whole NIT over the course of like 9 days. Well, I guess it's more like 2 weeks down in Texas, like in the Dallas area. How do you think you would have held up if you had to stay in the same hotel for 2 weeks? Having to play like 4 games in 10 days.
Look, these are kids. I mean, they're not kids. They're young adults. Like, what the hell is that going on? They don't have like, a wife and a kid that they miss at home. Like, they're away at school anyway. So, they're living a pro life. They're out on the road. They're traveling. I mean, we did it. You remember when we did it? We went to Arizona, St. Bonaventure. We were out of school for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's true.
You remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
Then we went to Gonzaga. It was like mayhem.
Yeah.
That's a tough road trip. So I think keep focused, man. You keep focused. You stay in your zone. And if you're that team that stays focused and has all those guys have the same goal in mind, it's going to be hard to take them out. It doesn't matter what team it is. It doesn't matter your ranking. That shit goes out the window.
Mm-hmm.
What's your go-to if you're a college kid now in the hotel, you're winding down? What are you doing? Are you playing? Are you bringing the Xbox? Are you watching The Office or something? Or are you watching the games that are on?
I'm definitely gonna travel with the Xbox. I'm not crazy about I'm not too crazy. I never was too crazy about it. I mean, me and Reggie Bryant did used to lock ourselves in a room and play freaking NBA Live or whatever the hell it was, the NBA game back then for hours, But we would bring that on the road and just watch. I'm a documentary guy. I love watching documentaries. If it interests me, I'll watch it. It just depends what I come across, what I see on YouTube or whatever.
Do you remember any point? Do you remember anybody that was kind of iffy about playing in the NIT or, kind of had to be, not to don't name names, but like, I'm sure there have to be some people that on the team that maybe aren't self-starters and able to get themselves up for the NIT. Do you remember that being the case with anybody?
Yeah, no. So I don't remember it being a specific person, but I do remember my first year going into NIT versus Minnesota. The energy of that team was not ready to play. Like I felt like we were kind of flat-footed. Like we weren't taking it like a real tournament game, like a postseason game. I was a freshman, and I think as a freshman, I was more vocal than most freshmen probably. But my second year, we went into the NIT. It was like a whole different attitude. Like the energy was there. We started that game like shit. Excuse me for cursing.
Oh.
We started that game like crap. Okay, flat-footed, and I know I came off the bench that game, and I let Soderbergh know about that.
I think it started off down like 12 at half. It was 12-point deficit at half or something
Is that
ridiculous.
what it was? Yeah,
It was.
Hey, Zach, I'm gonna say you probably know that game better than I do, my man.
I could if you put me in the family arena right now, I could find my seat. I'm sure.
You probably can find your seat. I would put you within maybe 2 seats.
Center court, maybe 9 or 10 rows up. I think.
Yeah, I mean you're not that old. I'm a little older, so shit gets twisted in my mind sometimes.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, man. No, we appreciate you coming on. What would you look at? You're the high school coach, man. What are you telling these guys going into this tournament? What's kind of your speech motivationally? Because I mean, I think that's what a lot of Billiken fans are concerned about, because you go into this season and this team's goal from day one is to make a deep run in March in the NCAA tournament. Now this team's got to refocus for the NIT tournament. How are you refocusing this team?
Look, I mean, it was unfortunate for Billikens this year. All right, they should have definitely been an NCAA team. I was watching the selection show and I see some of these teams getting in. I seen a lot of Billiken fans talking about the net and this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, COVID played a role in us not making the tournament. That's the bottom line, because that was a tournament team. Okay, had we not got hit by the COVID stick, we'd be in there. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So, I know there's people that are frustrated, this, that, and the other. We're still playing postseason basketball. Now, do you want to show that you are an NCAA team and go win this, or do you want to prove to the committee and to the NCAA that, you know what, they look like it, but they really weren't? And if you bow out early, that's my feeling, is that they made the right decision not putting us in the NCAAs. Now, if we make the run to the finals, I think it kind of, sticks out a little bit more, especially if you're one of the committee members on the NCAA committee. Listen, these guys, we missed the boat on them, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Pete, you got anything? You got any?
No, I think that's right. I mean, he, like Drea said, that first year, like when we played Minnesota, didn't come out with the energy. I think you scored 12 points in that game. I don't know if you remember that as a freshman.
I don't.
You had a good game in that one, but that was a game where Marquis had they were all over him. He only had 6 that night. But yeah, like, from year to year, you see the difference. Like the team really got up the next year. We beat Iowa, and yeah, it was a crazy finish, and it took some heroics. But yeah, there's no reason not to get up for this game. I mean, have some pride in what you do, and even though it's not the NCAA tournament, I think Dreja's right. I mean, like, make them remember you, make them realize that you can play.
You got to go out. I mean, look,
Yeah.
We're talking about one of the biggest games that I've had in the NIT. Imagine with an NCAA tournament, you can forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
I might be the head coach at St. Louis right now. Yeah, but talk about the NIT. It's not a toilet bowl championship. Like it's teams that are still teams that got snubbed from the NCAA. It's not like somebody that snuck in, into that tournament as well. All these teams were capable of being in a NCAA.
Yeah, they're all good teams. I was looking at the bracket, and I like these matchups. I think
half of them are A10 teams.
I know, that's kind of crazy.
I think four of the 16 teams are A10 teams.
I mean, that's a little wacky, but
yeah.
I mean, look, like somebody said, if you take these 16 teams and flip flop, I saw this on Twitter. I think it was from somebody from St. Louis said it on Twitter. I don't know who it was. If you take these 16 teams that are in this field in the NIT and take out the bottom 16 teams, the NCAA tournament would be 10 times better.
I like that.
I want to believe it. I
Yeah.
want to believe. I'm like
I like all
Mulder
these
and
teams.
Scully. I want to believe.
You know what I'm saying? Think about it, because you
Yeah.
got these teams that played harder competition. I'm assuming their schedules were harder. Like, you're taking a team. I'm not going to take a knock on somebody, but Hartford. Like,
You're
yes,
saying the auto bids, the one bid auto bid league.
I can't take that away from those teams.
Yeah. No,
it's
totally.
part of the process. But we're just saying, quality wise, if you take these teams and you put that in there, I think you have a lot harder tournament.
I agree. Well, Ant, thanks for. Did you have something before we let him go?
No, just are you going to be watching this Saturday?
Heck yeah!
You gotta see if you can spot me on TV. I'll be down there.
Are you going down there? They're going to let you in a bubble?
No. Well, it's not necessarily a bubble. I think it's just like they're just gonna play it all in one spot, but they're having like limited
fans.
Yeah.
They're going to keep them away from the team, though.
Yes. Well, they do that anyway.
Yeah, they got to keep you away because you like crashing the court.
Did that once already. So, well, I mean, the last time someone crashed the court while you were playing, they broke their nose. Remember?
Yeah. So that's why I was going to mention that too. You see, like the energy is nobody cares. It was a buzzer beater. That same thing would have happened if it was NCAA tournament, NIT. It's the same energy. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's NIT. I hit a buzzer beater. Like, who cares? Like, okay, next game. It doesn't shit. You're playing competition. If I was in an open gym or in a men's league and I had a buzzer beater like that, I would act the same way.
Just
like
doing that.
That's just it was who I was. I mean, that's kids. Their reactions. They're going to show.
Hey,
they do.
that passion and that kind of reaction is why I think you were a fan favorite and why you continue to have, relevancy among Billiken fans, and Billiken fans still talk about you. So, I mean, that was the beauty of Anthony Drejaj as a Billiken, in my opinion. So,
I appreciate it, man. I poured a lot of heart, soul, blood, sweat, tears. I left it all on the floor.
Well, I know Billiken fans appreciate it, and we appreciate you for coming on and kind of giving some insight in what the Billikens are going through right now. So, hey, we'll let you go. We'll be in touch. I'll probably be texting you during the game, drunk. Like, what's up, Jay? You watching?
Send me that selfie pic. Send me that selfie pic of the court.
I got you. All right, man. Well, have a good night, and again, thanks for coming on. Really
no problem. Nice seeing you, my man.
Yeah, you too.
All right. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks so much to Anthony Drejaj. Just absolute pleasure to talk to him, and just so much fun to catch up with him anytime. Anytime I get a chance to talk to him, I'm always down to do that, and he's always down to come on. So, just an unbelievable dude, right, Pete?
Yeah, he's one of my favorites all time. I'm biased because I was there with him for 3 years, but I love Drejaj.
You said when he showed up, he was kind of. When we talked to him on the house that Rick built, you said he kind of downplayed kind of how he came in and kind of his. He was the antithesis to that roster in a way.
Yeah, I think it's like a Jersey thing or New York thing, but yeah, he's just got that demeanor that just tough through and through. Like he said today, I mean, he was competitive. He left it all on the floor, but he was just a really tough player who did not back down, and he didn't care that he was a brand new freshman, new to the school, new to the team. He definitely wasn't afraid to kind of mix it up in practice with some of the veteran players, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I think he really resonated with me as kind of I think I was like between the ages of like 11 and 14 or 15 when he was at SLU. And I think his attitude and just, his size and his just bulldog nature really just resonated with me. And that's who I wanted to be like. And that's who it was when I was in grade school, it was Marquis Perry, and in high school it was Anthony Drejaj. So
yeah, for sure.
Drejaj,
he had a really consistent career too. Like all 4 years, he was just a solid player, reliable, good defender, and just tough as nails. I loved his game.
So we're gonna get into the bracket breakdown of the NIT. We'll kind of kick it off talking about the game that just happened. Richmond beat. They played Toledo. Toledo gave this one away. Richmond wins by 10, I believe. I don't have it in front of me because it just ended. And right now, the other game that's on tonight is St. Mary's in Western Kentucky. Obviously, the Billikens would face Richmond in the next round should they beat Mississippi State. But we'll start on the left side of the bracket. The 1-4 matchup, Colorado State and Buffalo. This one will be played in Denton on that mean green floor that we saw today, that ugly-ass floor. My goodness. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to hate on that floor because it's unique and awesome, but it's also ugly as sin.
I mean, we played on the St. Louis Swarm floor back in the NIT in 2004. So, like, you know, yeah, there's something about the NIT and ugly floors, man. It's just a tradition.
It's like the Masters of college basketball, except it's not. It's not the Masters. It's more like the Waste Management Open.
There you go.
It's the oddball tournament of the group. Who do you like in this one?
So the MAC is really solid this year. Obviously, Toledo just gave it away a few minutes ago. But I liked Toledo, Buffalo, Ohio. I thought that at the top of the league, that was a pretty solid league. But I think Colorado State is the better team here. Mm-hmm. They play small. SLU fans might remember we recruited a guy named David Roddy, who's now playing center for them, even though he's I think he's listed at 6'5" or 6'6", and I think that's generous. He was also recruited as a football player. He played quarterback in high school.
We're talking like a Donnie Dobbs out there?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, he's just a really solid, tough guy. So they play small. They play actually, I think a style, like if we get to the final, and they do too, I think a style that we can kind of handle, that we match up well against. But against Buffalo, I think I like Colorado State.
And we can't neglect to mention that Jim Whitesell is the coach there. Who's the coach over there?
Oh, at Buffalo?
Yeah, is it Whitesell?
He's still there?
Yeah, I think Whitesell's still there.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I didn't realize he was still there.
And a couple of the winner of that game will take on the winner of a game between two teams that we are both very familiar with, and Billiken fans are well acquainted with. Davidson and NC State will play in the 2-3 matchup, also at the North Texas Arena. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I like Davidson in this one.
What's your pick for the first game? I didn't get your pick for that one.
Oh gosh, we'll go Colorado State too. You know, a 1 has never beat, or a 4 has never beaten a 1. You know, and
you like Davidson over NC State?
I do. Davidson scares the crap out of me in general. I want nothing to do with Davidson ever. I wish Davidson would move out of the conference. I don't like their style. I don't like any of it. They shoot too many threes. It's like playing college hoops 2K8. It's just they just toss them up. And
I like them too in this game. I mean, in the way that you don't like them because you don't want to play them. But I like them against NC State. I just think if you give Davidson, they always look like the better coach team, even if they don't always play the better game. I like them with this much time to prepare for an opponent, and NC State is a solid middle of the pack ACC team, but we saw them earlier this year, and I like what Davidson could do against them.
Next up, we got Boise State and SMU. That will be on the – oh, my God, my eyes are terrible. The 18th at 9 p.m., and that'll be in Frisco at the Comerica Center. Boise or the Ponies? Actually, they're both Ponies, aren't they?
It's Broncos. And,
the Ponies.
But Broncos and Mustangs. But I'm gonna go SMU in this one. Neither of these teams are playing very well down the stretch. I think they both started really well, and I think Boise State's on like a 4-game losing streak now, and SMU lost a bunch of games in the back half of the conference schedule. So I'll go SMU just because I think they're a little more battle tested, and Boise State's just skidding too hard. But again, who knows? When you sit out a week, maybe the losing streak can get shaken off. But these are teams that had they played anybody else, I would have picked against either of them. Who do you have in this one?
I'm gonna go with Boise in this one, just because and my reasoning is this. I think, it has nothing to do with skill, has nothing to do with talent. I don't know these teams from Adam, but I think the lower level conference will bring the energy. And I've said that it's all about attitude and energy in this tournament. And I think Boise State will bring they'll be excited and ready to play.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I think this next game, besides the Billiken game, is the one I'm actually looking forward to in this tournament. And this will, the winner of that Boise State SMU game will get the winner of this game. Memphis Dayton. And that'll be the opening act to the Billikens and the Bulldogs. I'm excited because it's our hated rival against a guy that I can't stand coaching the other team.
I think whoever wins this one should win the next one too, because I like both these teams better than those two, Boise State or SMU. I think Dayton is impossible to predict this year. A team that loses to LaSalle and Fordham and St. Joe's, and I don't know which Dayton's going to show up, because they seem to beat all the best teams in conference and lose to all the worst ones.
We talked with Drejaj about that season where it was win loss. That's what this Dayton team reminds me.
Yeah, so it's like a coin flip. No matter who they play, I just don't know what to expect. But I kind of wonder if there's always a team, one of the better teams in the NIT, that kind of flops, like a high seed who doesn't really want to be there. I think of the year that like Kentucky lost at Robert Morris. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't. They couldn't have cared less. And I think Memphis.
It's going to be Memphis or the Billikens.
They either don't want to be there, they don't want to play this game, or they've got a huge chip on their shoulder and they're going to kill everybody. So I don't quite know how to predict this game at all. Part of me just wants Dayton out of there because I don't want to see them a third time. So maybe I'll go with Memphis for that reason.
Yeah. I think that the chip on the shoulder or the flop is going to come from the catty corner section of the bracket. I think it's going to be either Memphis or St. Louis. I think that I'm hoping that we're not the flop team. Really hoping. And I think we've got the adult, those senior, the hardened guys that are maybe won't overlook this tournament, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
Or that'll take it seriously. Other side of the bracket, St. Mary, or we'll start from the bottom since we're at the top. Ole Miss and Louisiana Tech. By the way, I think it's interesting as hell that Ole Miss and Mississippi State are in the same they're playing it in the same arena like during this weekend, because those two teams just do not like each other at all as far as fan bases go.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't put them on opposite ends of the bracket. But actually, I'm kind of surprised about it, like putting us in the same little quadrant as Richmond instead of spreading out the A-10 teams. And then, they put who else did they put? Oh, they put Boise State and Colorado State on the same side of the bracket. So anyway, Ole Miss and Louisiana Tech, it's kind of the opposite of Boise State and SMU, because those teams were both kind of skidding at the end of the year. Ole Miss and Louisiana Tech are probably playing their best basketball this season late. So it's kind of a tough game to call for that reason. Ole Miss has obviously played a much harder schedule though, and I think they're probably a little more talented team overall. So I think I'll take them over Louisiana Tech in this one. Yeah,
I really like that kid for Ole Miss. I can't think of his name, but I think is it Joyner, or it might be Joyner. But yeah, I like Ole Miss a lot. I like this team that they have. So yeah, I'll stick with Ole Miss. You know what? I think it's Romello White. Romello White is who I really like. He's a really good player. So is KJ Buffin. He's done really well this year, even in less minutes than usual. But yeah, Ole Miss I think is the way to go in this one. St. Mary's, Western Kentucky are at half right now. Western Kentucky leads 38-31 over St. Mary's. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I think Western Kentucky was going to probably be my pick anyway. I like them this season. I think they're the more talented team here. St. Mary's is always solid, but I don't think they're quite, Gonzaga's clear number 2 out in that conference this year. So I think, it's halfway through, so it's easier, but I would still going to go Western Kentucky in this one.
Is Stansbury still at Western Kentucky?
Yeah, he is. And I think, is Bassey their good player this year?
That I am not aware of.
I haven't seen them play.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the minor conferences. It's weird. This is a weird year in that, like, I'd usually flip on like a low-level conference game every now and then, and this year I just have been watching the big boys.
Yeah.
It's a weird year in general. Obviously, we covered Toledo and Richmond, and now we get to the main event, Saturday night, March 20th. 4 p.m. Central Time on ESPN from the Comerica Center in Frisco, Texas. It's the Billikens and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We tried our hardest to get a Mississippi State podcaster on to talk about this game. They snubbed us. No responses. So you got to listen to us. Pete, what do you think about this Bulldog team?
I think of all the teams in this tournament, this is one of the more interesting and probably one of the toughest matchups for us, because this is a team not unlike Bonaventure in that they want to slow you down and really force their tempo. They are one of the biggest teams in D1. They're huge. Their roster is not just tall. They've got a lot of guys. Like, they start a guy who's 6'10", 6'11", 7-footer off the bench. They've got a bunch of role players who are like 6'7" to 6'9". But they're not just tall, they're huge, really big frames, and they're going to be tough to guard in that sense. And, they rebound they're one of the better rebounding teams in all of college basketball this year. They block a lot of shots. So we need to kind of force tempo a little bit. I think we've had a habit of playing to the other team's style too often, especially when that's a team that likes to slow it down. So I think if you're ever going to kind of cut the guys loose a little bit, this is a game where I'd be looking to do a little more in transition.
Yeah, I agree. I think I texted you as soon as because I watched a little bit of a couple of their games, and I just feel like we're either going to beat them inside by being quicker, or they are just going to dominate us inside like Dayton did in the first game off the pause. Because they can just run everybody at our big men. I mean, 6'11", 7 foot. Oh my God, 6'10".
Yeah, they're huge.
Jesus, does that include their guards too? I mean, good Lord.
I mean, I think they're like Molinar and Stewart are a little more. They're not giants by any means, but they're good size too. But I worry about which Hassan French shows up in this game, because we saw against UMass in that first game that we played in the A-10 tournament, he was so disciplined and did not let them, even though they were collapsing on him in the post and he was having to work his way around Mitchell, he wasn't forcing anything. He was passing out to open shooters, keeping the offense flowing. And then the next game against Bonaventure, all of that went out the window, and he's just trying to take it right at Oshuni, who just blocked everything. So I think this is a game where, I don't think they're the big that will start against him, Smith. I don't think he's quite as instinctive or as long a shot blocker as Oshuni, but Hassan can definitely fall into the same trap if he plays like that again. So not just him, all our bigs have to be disciplined and stay out of foul trouble, because all three of them have shown a knack for racking up fouls in limited minutes.
Obviously, the underlying storyline for this game, we're looking at Jalen Johnson and his first. It's his senior season finally. Jalen Johnson, the former Billiken, transferred to Mississippi State eventually. I think he by way of another school. I don't really remember.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Lafayette.
So he is on this team. What has he done this season, and what impact do you think he'll have on Saturday?
So, I mean, he's definitely going to want to make a little statement against some of his old teammates and his old coaches. Um, he plays about 15 minutes a game, and he scores a little over 5 points a game. 2/3 of his field goal attempts are from 3-point range. I think SLU fans remember that he had a pretty good shooting year. Actually, if you look at his whole career, it still remains his best 3-point shooting year. But he likes to get it done from beyond the arc. We know he's got good length, so he's going to be a little bit of a matchup problem out there. But he scores 5 points a game. Everybody except their big three, Molinar, Stewart, and Smith, are who are all sophomores. But they're the bulk of the production, the scoring production, rebounding, everything. So everybody else is a role player, and Johnson is one of the first players off the bench. But I think we'll see how much they get him involved. I mean, he's going to want to play a big game here, but I don't think he's the key to the game.
The key to the game is most certainly Iverson Molinar. What do you see in this kid that makes him so dangerous?
So he's just an efficient scorer on all three levels. He shoots over 43% from three. He gets to the rim. He draws fouls, and he's an excellent free throw shooter. They're actually, when you get outside of him and Stewart, they're not a very good free throw shooting team at all. So if we can keep those two off the line and put their other guys, a lot of their big men on the line, they're not a good free throw shooting team. But he can beat you in a variety of ways. I said this to you earlier, but they kind of remind me of Minnesota a little bit, because that's another really tall team that had a go-to guard who was their big scorer. And I think that's kind of the same case here. They don't, he doesn't score as much as Carr on Minnesota, and they spread it out a little more at the top, and they're maybe not as deep. But at the same time, I think it's kind of the same matchup issue for us. I haven't liked the way that we've played against taller teams this season. So we're going to need to slow him down, keep him out of keep him off the free throw line, and just play good disciplined basketball against their bigs. What do you see out of him and Stewart? Is there anything else that I missed that scares you about these two?
Not those two. I mean, guards always scare me. But honestly, I really like that Toulouse Smith kid. He was really, really good against LSU and Alabama in the SEC tournament. His number got called a lot, especially by the announcers. So that I'm interested in seeing what Travis Ford has in store for that matchup, whether he uses a lot of Jimmy Bell early in the game, or if maybe he tries to go back to the formula that worked really early in the season, where we, we work it inside to Hassan and Bell and Linson, but we get a lot of scoring from guys like Demarius and Jimerson.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a game for those guys to bounce back, this is it. I mean, if you cut them loose and shoot in rhythm and transition, I think that's kind of how we're going to have to rack up some points against this team. Like I said, they want to slow you down. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They're not a bad 3-point shooting team. They just want to pound it inside. They score more inside than almost any other team in the game. So, it's kind of a Ben Howland team. He plays a tough defensive style. He likes big players at every position. So it's a challenging matchup here. It's a challenging matchup, and we just have to be disciplined.
Do you see Ford moving into that 1-3-1 zone that we saw a lot of that won us the A-10 tournament in 19?
I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I'm curious as to what lineup he starts out with in this one.
Yeah, my guess would be Bell, French, because obviously this is the exact situation where Hassan French gets into foul trouble. This is his kryptonite for early foul trouble. So I think it's in my opinion, it's a no doubter that you throw Bell out there and see what happens. And if Bell can't hang, then we got to figure something else out.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, and I think Linson is kind of a sneaky key to this game
Mhm.
too, because he's going to have to. He's proven himself to be a great offensive player off the bench. But man, when he gets in foul trouble, it happens so fast. So we need every big man to kind of to definitely stay out of foul trouble in this one, and I don't know, just create as much problems as we can out on the perimeter.
One last funny note about the Mississippi State roster. Uh, Rick Stanberry's son is on this team. He's
Hmm.
Yeah, Isaac Stansberry. I saw that name. I was like, it's got to be his son. So yeah, it'll be interesting. One quick prediction.
You know, I want to believe, so I'm going to say SLU by 5.
I love it. Love it. I'll go SLU by 6. Uh,
I like the creativity.
yeah, very. If I'm nothing, I'm creativity. Well, let's move on and look at this WNIT, the women's side. Hand up. I screwed this one up. I thought they were for sure out and done, but I'm assuming there were some dropouts for this tournament. Obviously, it's harder for the funding with women's programs and whatnot. It's just kind of a mess. This is interesting because they're going to play them. They're not playing in a bubble, so to speak. Looks like they're playing in Fort Worth, Charlotte, Memphis, and Rockford. Billikens are in Rockford, and then the championship will be in Memphis, Tennessee. And this one will be shown on Flow Hoops, so nobody will watch. No, sorry, that's not a shot at the women's sports. That's a shot at Flow Hoops because you have to pay, and nobody wants to watch Flow on anything on Flow Hoops. But the Billikens have probably the worst draw they could have asked for in this one, and I think that comes along with being probably a third or fourth choice at this spot on the bracket. They will face DePaul, and there are a ton of underlying storylines for this one.
Yeah, there are. The first one that jumps out to me is associate head coach Jill Pizzotti, who coached, what was it, 10 seasons at SLU?
Yeah, 10 seasons.
Yeah, she was the coach when I was at SLU back in the early 2000s, and I actually worked being a manager for the men's team. I also did the scoreboard at the women's games. So I saw Jill up close for 4 years coaching there. And the funny thing is, I mean, Doug Bruno, the head coach at DePaul, as soon as I pulled up, when I'm doing research for this game, as soon as I pulled them up and saw him, I was like, hey, I know that guy. He's been there for 35 years. So he was already a veteran coach by the time I saw him back in my day. And yeah, I guess he had enough fondness for Pizzotti to go ahead and hire her as an assistant eventually.
Yeah, Pizzotti went and worked for Nike for like 10 years,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
I guess got back into coaching. But yeah, Bruno was the head coach at DePaul for 2 years between 76 and 78, and then is now and then went back to DePaul 10 years later, starting in 88. An overall record of 714 and 345. So, I mean, that's a name that I obviously even remember from the CUSA days.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great coach, and this is actually the first year they've missed the NCAA tournament since 2002, which is back when he was coaching against Pizzotti back in West Pine Gym. So yeah, this is a tough team.
Doug Bruno's kind of in that realm of women's coaches where you have like the superstars in Gino Auriemma, the Pat Summits, C. Vivian Stringer. Is that her name? I think I got that right. And then you have guys like Doug Bruno or women like Doug Bruno. Well, you get what I'm saying. But he's not that elite level, but he's been at his school for forever and just has a program that wins.
Yeah, they're just a really solid team every year. They play a tough schedule. Being in the Big East now with UConn, they're guaranteed 2 top-level games every year on top of what they already play. And then when you look at their schedule this year, they played 5 ranked teams despite only playing 22 total games. So yeah, really tough schedule. And I think they are one of those teams that went into this season very much expecting to be back in the women's NCAA tournament. So speaking of the chip on your shoulder, I think they're probably going to have that for this one.
I think looking down their schedule, I think my favorite game they played was a 128-66 win over Chicago State.
Yeah, Chicago State, both men and women's programs they struggle. They're always toward the bottom.
That's just disrespectful.
Yeah, it is. But
that's kind of the par for the course in a way across a lot of women's college basketball.
Yeah, there's definitely a bigger drop off after you get out of the top programs for sure.
So sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say we've got some more SLU or St. Louis ties to DePaul though.
Yes, we do. We'll start on the Billiken side of the ties. Marissa Warren, the recently transferred in guard, came from DePaul, and she's been a huge boost to this roster this year.
Yeah, she's been a spark plug off the bench. She's been really great down the stretch, actually, as they rattle off that win streak, and I think she had a lot to do with it. So very welcome addition.
Yeah, I think this could be the Jalen Johnson X factor for this game, don't you?
If either of them goes off against their former team, I hope it's her.
Yeah, no kidding. And I rule out the other X factor because I don't think she plays very much. But on the DePaul Blue Demons roster, you have Sonia Morris, a 5'10" guard, junior guard out of St. Louis, Missouri. She was actually, I believe, teammates with Marissa Warren for at least a year, right?
Yeah. Well, what year is Morris actually?
Oh gosh, now you're putting me on the spot.
But to back up, Sonia Morris is actually their leading scorer.
Wait, but she didn't play the last couple of games. This is what I get for not going back far enough.
She actually averages like 18.3 a game.
Oh my goodness.
She's she's tough, and she's out of Incarnate Word,
right?
Which is kind of the powerhouse program in St. Louis, powerhouse private girls school,
which is also where Marissa Warren went.
Oh, okay.
That was what I kind of meant, is that they played together in high school. Yeah,
I didn't make that connection. I was only thinking of Warren as a DePaul player.
Right.
But yeah, obviously there's a lot of talent that has come out of that school over the years, and she's no exception. I mean, she just lights it up. They spread it out pretty well, but she's one of these players who's just not afraid to shoot at any time from anywhere. Gets to the free throw line a good amount. She's just a really active player all over the floor. So yeah, she's going to be a handful.
Yeah, and we can't obviously forget that MST transferred from a Big East school and had some experience up against DePaul as well. So
yeah, she knows him.
Yeah, a lot of. Come on, Siri. I'm trying to record a podcast here. And Peyton Kennedy, a homecoming game for her as well. Rockford, Illinois, Boylan Catholic. So this just so many storylines. This is going to be a tough matchup, though. Down to the brass tacks. What are we looking for in this game if you're going to buy Flow Hoops?
So what we're looking for is DePaul is one of these teams, unlike Mississippi State, who the men are going to play. They want to do the opposite. They want to speed it up. They're more like a VCU, where they want to really push the game's tempo to be as fast, as sloppy as possible. They force a ton of turnovers. They force almost 22 turnovers a game, and they look to create as many chances as they can off that. They're not a very good shooting team. It's crazy, the disparity here. They shoot under 42% from the field, and their opponents shoot almost 48%.
Wow!
But because they're such a chaotic team to play against, they can put these big runs on you, and all of a sudden, you're down 15 and don't quite know what happened. So that's
that turnover issue is kind of concerning for Billiken fans, given what we saw towards the end of in that conference tournament game against Richmond, where they nearly gave it away, turning the ball over multiple times in that final couple minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like you said earlier, this is about as tough a draw as you can possibly have. DePaul was this team that their season was completely derailed by a COVID break, as we've experienced. They had kind of like a 2-game or 2-week pause. Then they played a game, then they were out again, played a game, out again, and over the stretch of that, I mean, they were 9-3 going into their COVID pause, probably feeling like, hey, we've already beaten 2 ranked teams, lost to a couple ranked teams, but we're 9-3, looking good in the Big East so far. And then they finished the season 5-5, including losing 4 of their last 5. So this is one of those teams. Maybe there's some lingering COVID effects here. Maybe they don't have all of their wind back yet. And if that's the case, maybe they can't quite play their game. And that might be SLU's only chance in this thing, because if that doesn't happen, they're the women's tournament team, no doubt.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game to watch. Especially, I think it'll be an important game. I think for Julia Martinez, I think this is going to be her big chance to kind of, also a Chicago product, be a big chance for her to show off in front of a hometown crowd, and also because it's going to be big for her to take care of the ball as the point guard.
Yeah, for sure. We need a big game out of her. Homecoming for a lot of players. Hopefully they get up for that. And even Lisa Stone is from Wisconsin, just barely north of Rockford. So there's also kind of another little quirk in this region. If we get to the regional final, Dayton could be a team on the other side.
Oh my God.
The team that we probably both expected to see each other in the A10 finals, and that didn't quite pan out for either team. But there, if by some chance you can get through DePaul and then either Milwaukee or Drake after that, you never know.
Yeah, if we have an ability to watch these games, it should be a fun tournament. Now, whether you can find Flow Hoops online, it remains to be seen. I'm a little surprised it's not on over-the-air television. I'm doing air quotes for over the air because that's not really a thing anymore. But
yeah, I wish it were easier to get this one. I mean, they're going to be, there's a chance to play 3 games in 4 days, it looks like. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be a fun event to kind of sandwich on top of the men's tournament this weekend.
We talked a lot about energy and attitude going into this tournament, going into the men's tournament. And I think that's where maybe SLU has a little bit of an edge. This is something that the Billiken women's team can look forward to, something they didn't expect, something that's exciting. And I think for DePaul, maybe it's a bit of a letdown to be in this tournament. So I'm thinking that's an opportunity for the women.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, we made that point for the men's side, is that there are those teams who didn't expect to be here, thought they had bigger things in store. And then, for SLU, it's a huge opportunity. You also figure SLU dealt with the worst of their COVID problems in the beginning of the year. So, DePaul had it later in the year, down the stretch, more like in February. Maybe they're just kind of in a better place, both mentally and physically, for this one. But yeah, the way SLU played until their unfortunate loss against UMass in the A10 semifinals, they've been playing great ball lately. So if they can kind of force DePaul into a slower, more defensive game, I don't know, anything can happen.
Oh my gosh. I'm on Twitter right now, and the first thing that pops up is Richmond basketball tweets out that they're moving on to the next round, but they put Richmond on the line where St. Louis or Mississippi State will go.
Nobody's perfect.
No, it's the NIT. I mean, things are going to be weird. I guess we'll move on to the least pleasant news. So we'll save it for last, so people can tune out really if they don't care anymore. But there was a bit of drama in the last few days. I think it kicked off Monday. Basically, the tweet was from Chris Gardner on Twitter. He tweeted out 2 pictures of a party at the Cheshire in St. Louis. Not allegedly. It was Brooks Ford took the pictures. No timestamps on when it happened, but basically drew a link, kind of an invisible link to the COVID pause for the Billikens in December. What was your reaction to kind of this hitting the Twitter sphere?
Well, my first reaction was just that I'm surprised it took this long. This is a rumor that we'd heard for a couple months because, SLU went on COVID pause at the end of December. I guess the story goes that this party happened after the UMKC game, the Kansas City game, on December 23rd, which I guess is Brooks's birthday or whatever. So that happens, and then 5 days later we have our first. Was it 5 days later, or was it a week later?
Let's say it happened like right at the beginning of the year, like right after.
Yeah, so it's like December 30th, where we I guess was when we announced that on the 28th we had a positive test come through. So I think the rumor was it came out of this party, and then it spread all over our team, and then we obviously dealt with it for the next 4 or 5 weeks. It doesn't seem to be the case that the party was the source of